If you're curious about what robotics engineers actually do in industry and what sort of robotics they actually work on, then this video is for you. How's it going? My name is Kieran. I came to the US as an international student athlete. I got my bachelor's and master's in mechanical engineering, and now I work as a robotics engineer for a Fortune 500 company. Robotics engineering is all about designing, building, and programming intelligent machines to help with humans. And what's the ultimate goal? To solve real-world problems by creating intelligent machines. In the past, when we talk about robots, we probably thought about Transformers or iRobot with Will Smith, not the robot vacuum. I guess either will do, it doesn't really matter. But now, robots are more prominent in industry than they have ever been. We see robots in construction, agriculture, manufacturing, healthcare, and even the auto industry with autonomous cars. And maybe that's a bit controversial. Is an autonomous car truly a robot? So let's break down what a robot is. I would consider a robot must have three characteristics. 1, sensors. 2, actuators. And finally, intelligent programs. Intelligent programs don't necessarily have to be AI or machine learning. They can just enact some sort of behavior or make some sort of informed decision. As a robotics engineer in industry, you're rarely ever working on the entire robotics system by yourself. If you are in industry working as a robotics engineer, you're going to be working on at least one of these systems where you'll be testing it or designing it. Why doesn't this robotics engineer role exist? Why doesn't someone just work on everything? Well, the simple fact is that robots are simply very complicated systems, and they take many talented engineers with different specializations for that robot to come to fruition. So even though you see the role of robotics engineer on LinkedIn or Indeed, I would read the description just to make sure you know what the role entices. Let's break it down. Starting off with sensors. So if you're working with sensors, you're probably choosing the right sensor for the robotic system, doing some data collection in the field, or even doing some calibration. I would even go as far to say that people working with the perception sensors may do some sensor fusion algorithm. So the roles that fit into this domain, they're usually labeled as a perception engineer, computer vision engineer, or maybe even something like a sensor integration engineer. So once again, these guys are really just working with the sensors. So the next characteristic I want to talk about is the actuators. Now these things are what make the robot move. It can be wheels, motors, servos, or even hydraulic pistons. If you're on this side, you could be designing robotic arms, walking mechanisms, or using computer simulations to model dynamic forces to ensure the robot is moving in an efficient manner. Even going a little bit further, those with more of a mechanical background could even move into control design, where they'll be developing control systems to ensure the robot moves or operates with stability and precision. Typically under the actuators or the mechanical side of the robot, the roles you might be looking for are the controls engineers, mechatronics engineer, or even a mechanical design engineer. Now, finally, which is probably more of what people think of when you hear robotics engineer, is the intelligent programming. Programming is what ties everything together. There's so many robots that exist, and the software that you can write is endless, but programming, typically these roles are your software engineers, your artificial intelligence researchers, computer vision engineers, or autonomy engineers. So kind of tying everything back to what was said at the start, robotics engineers aren't in charge, or they don't work on the entire system. They are usually divided into specialized disciplines and contributing to the overall robotic system. At smaller companies like startups, you may be wearing multiple hats, and at sometimes it might feel like you're working on everything. But at larger companies, you will be usually contributing to one domain. And honestly, that's the best part about robotics. It's multidisciplinary. There's room for mechanical nerds, code wizards, control theory geeks, AI enthusiasts, and everything in between. So yeah, being a robotics engineer doesn't mean you work on the entire system. It simply means you work with talented individuals to contribute to a robust robotic solution. Whether it's building a surgical robot, an autonomous tractor, or even a warehouse robot that moves boxes faster than a human, they're all part of a bigger mission to augment human ability using machines. If you really want to get into robotics engineering, I would think about those three characteristics: sensors, actuators, and programs, and ask yourself, what are you interested in? Do you like getting your hands dirty and building stuff? Does the question of how do robots see the world intrigue you, or do you just really like writing code? Those are things you can ask yourself to figure out what sort of path you want to go down to become a robotics engineer. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.